If you're stuck in a cycle of painful overeating, then this is what I did to change my life. Because a year ago, I was stuck in a vicious cycle of binge eating and eating so much food that I was lying on my sofa sometimes in a puddle of shame because I'd eaten until I felt sick. To explain the solution, I need to tell you a story from 1971, where two congressmen visited soldiers in Vietnam, and they discovered something that was quite frightening for people. They discovered that these soldiers were addicted to heroin, and this information got back to President Nixon, who announced this as a national emergency. And so what happened after that was that $155 million were allocated in the 1972 budget to solving this national problem. And as part of that, they conducted research because there was such a concentrated sample of heroin users entering the US. It was a great opportunity to understand this addiction more. And so a guy called Lee Robbins ended up interviewing 900 of the users over a 3-year period. And the results were astonishing. Prior to this moment, it was widely believed that heroin addiction was irreversible and permanent, because 90% of heroin addicts in the US that go to rehab end up coming back and getting re-addicted to heroin. But Lee Robbins found the complete opposite. Only 12% of men that were addicted to heroin in Vietnam stayed addicted when they got back to the US over a 3-year period. And this teaches us a very important lesson about behavior and addiction, is that the environment is the key. You see, the thing about the soldiers in Vietnam is that when they went to Vietnam, they had all these triggers like availability of heroin. In fact, one soldier was given heroin or offered heroin as he got off the plane, and also stress and exhaustion from the war. Whereas when they got back to the US, the triggers weren't there. But for the heroin addicts in the US, they go to rehab where there are no triggers, but then they come back home and the triggers are still there, which caused them to get addicted. And so what I did a year ago was I moved to Bali for a year. And it allowed me to remove all the physical and social environmental cues that were there in my scenery. And that gave me the space to rebuild my identity. And so when I'm back now, I feel like I have a lot more control, even though the voice is still there, because I've had the amount of time that I needed to become closer to the person that I want to be.